And it's the last one for the week. Hello and welcome to Business Morning. I'm Ladi Williams.
And I'm Chimeze Obi. Well, good morning and thank you for joining us. Well, Saudi Arabia and its OPEC Plus allies shocked the oil market on Thursday with a decision to keep supply in check, sending prices surging. As at this morning, U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 17 cents to $64, holding below a 13-month high hit on Thursday. Brent crude rose 10 cents to $66.84 a barrel, but down from a high of $67.75 hit on Thursday. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies had been debating whether to restore as much as 1.5 million barrels a day of output in April. From trading houses in Geneva to Wall Street banks, much of the oil world was in agreement that global markets could use some more barrels to temper a rapid run-up in prices. But after being urged to keep our powder dry by Prince Abdulaziz, OPEC Plus members agreed to hold steady at current levels with the exception of modest increases granted to Russia and Kazakhstan. All right, joining us now to talk more about this is the Chairman, International Energy Services Limited, Dr. Diro Fawibe. Good morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Fawibe, for joining us on the program.
Good morning, Chimeze.
Good morning. Well, with oil price rising to its pre-pandemic level, expectations were that OPEC Plus members will choose to raise its output, but that was not the case. Were you surprised by that decision?
No, certainly I'm not surprised, simply because even though there has been some improvements, in the market situation in the last few months, but the situation is still tense. We haven't seen the end of the road yet. Thanks to the deployment of vaccines in various developed countries and Europe and North America and some other Asia countries. But even then, we are still not out of the woods. And that is the reason why OPEC, particularly the Secretariat of OPEC, kept cautioning member countries to exercise a little more patience for the oil market to rebalance. Even though we can say that we are getting to the end of the glut, in the oil market, but even then, we still have to be very cautious so that we can recover, very well, and then we can then be in the position to increase production. Thanks to Saudi Arabia that has voluntarily cut production by 1 million barrels per day. It was quite like the past when Saudi Arabia was very aggressive, especially when they were in a face-off with Russia. But now they promised to extend the voluntary cutback in production till the month of April. So which in fact means that during this month of March and April, there will be a voluntary reduction of 1 million barrels per day. That will help to stabilize the oil market. And by the time OPEC meets on April 1st, probably as the assessment of the market will then be redone, and then we can make a projection as to whether some of these measures be taken at the meeting of yesterday will be rolled over till for another month of May and possibly June. But even then, if ever the plan is not rolled over, at least we'll be able to remove some excess oil from the market, and the market may then be in a state of relative stability for the future.
All right, Mr. Fawibe. So 1 year on from the outbreak of the bitter price war that sent crude below zero, Saudi Arabia showed that its priority is preserving the hard-won oil recovery rather than worrying about tightening the market too much. Do you see this decision overheating the market as many may fear?
Well, this decision has been widely praised by not only by OPEC, but a number of countries and oil market observers. Because if, for example, Saudi Arabia had not made this voluntary contribution, you can imagine excess of 1 million barrels per day in the market for the month of January and February, and now March and April. that will make a lot of significant, contribute a lot to the surplus of oil in the market. And the recovery we are now having in terms of price may not actually be there. So if the OPEC member countries will maintain discipline in terms of compliance, and the conference noted that member countries complied to the tune of about 103%, which was a record performance, and some countries that have overproduced, especially countries like Nigeria, for example, they've made up for their overproduction, for some months. So this compliance, will enable the market to rebalance, and what we then see in the coming months, especially during summer, will be a strong market situation. And if the effects of COVID, effects of vaccine is evident everywhere, at least in Europe, in North America, in Asia, we know that the developing countries of Africa, for example, will lag behind, given the fact that the vaccine is not widely taken in those countries. But the major consuming countries, we are likely to see improvement, in terms of opening their factories, in terms of road transportation, and so on. So this will contribute significantly to improve market demand, and that will have effects on production in various member countries. So by the time the decision to relax production is taken, then it will meet a strong market situation.
Now, Nigeria was once again called out for quota cheating. What's the implication of this for the country?
Well, Nigeria, it wasn't cheating per se. It was just that, we couldn't quickly ramp down the production that Nigeria was having at that time. But even then, Nigeria made a promise. The Minister of State for Petroleum, made a promise that Nigeria will make up for this overproduction during those few months. And Nigeria has actually done that. And if you read the communique of the conference of yesterday, Nigeria was praised for complying with their promise of making up for the overproduction. And apart from the fact that the Minister of State was commended for his diplomacy, diplomatic shuttle, to a number of countries to ensure that they comply with the decision of OPEC. So we are now back in line with what OPEC wants, and then our production will now, even though it's relatively lower than what we should be producing, and particularly the budget. As you know, the 2021 budget stipulates a production level of about 1.8 million barrels per day. And we actually believe that at the time this production level was being set, that it was very ambitious. But let's hope that, on average for the year 2021, if oil demand, improves during the summer, probably we may be able to make up for increased level of production in the coming months. That is when OPEC decides to relax production for member countries.
Okay, what would this decision mean for Nigeria's upstream sector and the IOCs operating in the country?
Well, the IOCs, they normally take a cue from what is happening in the international petroleum industry. As you know, most of the major oil companies, they are keen watchers of the international oil market, and they normally make projections, in terms of what is likely to be the demand outlook, taking the cue from OPEC as well as IEA. So the major oil companies will definitely have some reservation about pumping more oil in the market. But even the major concern in Nigeria today is not actually what OPEC is doing as against PIB, because what is holding the IOCs from producing or from investment is the PIB. And even Nigerian government should be very careful in terms of authorizing the major oil companies to open the taps or the valves, simply because when they are producing, overproducing from existing wells, without actually replenishing those reserves, it's not a good thing for the country. What we have seen is that while we are producing more and more oil, we should also be increasing the reserve by way of exploration and development. And that will only happen if if the oil companies are investing. The oil companies will not be investing if the environment is not conducive. And that is why people have been talking, time without number, that the non-passage of the PIB is a major disservice to this country, and particularly to the Nigerian industry. It's like cutting your nose to spite your face. We only hope that the current National Assembly will make good their promise to pass the bill between now and June. So if that happens, then we can see the major IOCs, trying to reset the button in terms of production, taking a cue from what is happening at the international level and what is happening at domestic level.
Now, this decision comes at a tense moment for Saudi-American alliance as President Joe Biden seeks to reset the relationship with Riyadh and particularly with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. What will this mean for Saudi-U.S. relations?
Well, the statement made by the White House has been very, very clear. Yes, U.S. or Biden administration will recalibrate its policy with respect to Saudi Arabia. But the de facto ruler, that is the Crown Prince, will not be indicted and will not be sanctioned. That is a major, major decision of Biden administration. And that will go a long way to strengthen the relationship between Saudi Arabia and U.S. If, for example, let me remind you that the president of U.S. had a discussion with the king, King Salman, before the intelligence report was released. And one was not surprised that after the release of the intelligence report, there was another clarification from the White House that the Crown Prince, the son of the king, will not be sanctioned. If the Crown Prince has been sanctioned, of course, there will be a lot of rumble in Saudi Arabia. So you can, and based on what observers, diplomatic observers said, U.S. needs Saudi Arabia to maintain its policy, its agenda in the Middle East. And Saudi Arabia is too significant for U.S. to ignore. One can say that the gruesome murder of the journalist, was bad enough. But U.S. is now trying to find a way to impose some sanctions, against those who are directly involved in that gruesome murder. But the Crown Prince, allegedly said to be involved by way of giving final decision, will not be punished, for this action. So even though there are many people in U.S. who are not happy with this decision, but the Biden administration saw a bigger picture of the effect that it could cause for U.S. if the Crown Prince was sanctioned, because ultimately most of the decisions taken in Saudi Arabia, used to be taken by the Crown Prince, and the king himself, that the president now wants to relate with directly, will not be happy that the Crown Prince is sanctioned. So I think the decision of Biden administration is in the right direction.
So I see that modest increases were granted to Russia and Kazakhstan. What's the implication of this?
Well, traditionally, Russia has always been agitating for increasing production, and the fact that, it's only 130,000 barrels per day that was granted as Russia, and 20,000 barrels per day for Kazakhstan, is a acknowledgement of the fact that, okay, they are part of the group, and they have cooperated so far. But if you remember in the past, Russia used to ask for a volume of additional 500,000 barrels per day. We know the reason why Russia tends to be very aggressive when it comes to production level. But then they have cooperated so far in terms of asking for a modest increase. And the conference, granting this modest increase for Russia and Kazakhstan is a measure of the understanding that is currently prevailing within the group. So we know that it's why countries like Nigeria, for example, is not being allowed to produce more. But at the same time, given the fact that we have we overproduced in the past and we made up for that, we mean that, come the month of May, for example, if there is going to be increase or relaxing of the production level, Nigeria may then be able to increase its production level at least marginally. And that will mean something very good for Nigeria. But we should have a compensating value in terms of the price of oil. And don't forget that the benchmark price in the budget is $40 per barrel. And then if the price of oil, $40 per barrel is the benchmark price for the 2021 budget. And if the if the price at the international market is now holding for, say, around 50, at least 50, if we say that, $60 per barrel is not sustainable for the long term, and there's no reason why it won't even be higher than $50 per barrel. So what we are losing by way of reduced production, we can make up by way of a higher price for whatever level of production that we are able to achieve and put on the market.
Now, when this decision was made yesterday, we saw oil price go up as high as $68. For you, what's your outlook for oil prices, the medium and in the short to medium term?
One major factor will be the full compliance, of the decision. And this, again, we cannot be too sure 100% that member countries will comply, 100%. They were present in the past or complied to the tune of 103%. But now that the market is recovering, there will be the temptation for some countries, to produce more than their quota. And if that happens, then there is more oil in the market, and then the price could come down. But from my own perspective, I believe that the price will be could be around $60 plus or minus, especially since we are going to the summer market. But a lot still depends on the success of the vaccine, reducing the COVID-19, in the various industrialized countries. As you know, the last month, there was a spike, in some countries. So, but as the vaccination is widespread, one expects that there will be a movement in the direction that will be positive effect on the oil market. UK, for example, may be relaxing the lockdown, in a couple of weeks. A few days ago, Texas, 2 states in America are reviewing their lockdown. So it's a measure of improvement, in the outlook for the success of the vaccine. And if that happens, obviously it will lead to improvement, in the oil market. So if the oil market is stabilized at, say, $60 per barrel, and that would be a good thing for Nigeria.
All right.
$20 per barrel over the benchmark price is something that can can be good for this country.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Fawibe, for sharing your thoughts with us there. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Welcome. And you too, and the rest of your team.
Thank you. Okay, we take a break now. When we come back, of course, the program continues. Just stay with us.